billed as a possible attempt on the world record. An invitation race, this, not part of the match, but it could still create the biggest headlines of the day. The leader in the white top and red shorts is the current world record holder, Ingrid Kristiansen of Norway. Behind her, Zola, the British record holder. And we understand that these two have agreed before the race to share the leadership over the first 6 or 7 laps. 7 girls in the race. Kristiansen, according to plan, will lead for the first 2 laps, then Zola will take over, and so on. That world record, 14 minutes, 58.89 seconds, achieved by Ingrid Kristiansen on her home track in Oslo in 1984. Zola British record was set earlier this summer in Helsinki when she placed 6th, the time 15 minutes, 13.07 seconds. But Zola has run a lot quicker in her native South Africa.
The time for the first lap certainly on record schedule, 70.2 seconds.
The girl in 3rd place is Debbie Peel of Crawley, the 27-year-old women's 3A's 3,000 metres champion, wearing number 2, and wearing number 8, the New Zealander Lorraine Moller, who, like Kristiansen, is better known perhaps as a marathon runner and finished 5th in the Olympic marathon in Los Angeles. Kristiansen leads then, Zola 2nd, Debbie Peel 3rd, and Lorraine Moller 4th, and then quite a gap between Moller and Susan Tooby of Cardiff. There she is in the red shorts and the blue top, back in 5th place. Zola as planned, comes to the shoulder of Kristiansen to take over at the completion of the 2nd lap to do her share of the leading. And it's a situation, of course, that Zola enjoys so much. This is where she runs at her best, out in front.
And the pace has even speeded up, a 68-second second lap to 18.3 at 800, and certainly this is well inside record schedule.
Well, Zola fresh from her marvellous triumphs in Moscow and Zurich, winner of the European Cup final for Great Britain, in that tremendous finish against Zakayev of the Soviet Union. And then she went on to run in Zurich over a mile, and another marvellous performance in that world record race won by Mary Slaney.
It's astonishingly fast first 1,000 metres, 2 minutes 53.68. Well, 3 minutes is steady 15-minute pace, and when Kristiansen set her world record, she went through in 3 minutes 2 seconds, so well inside at the moment.
And such is the quality of this leading group that they've already opened up a gap of some 40 to 50 metres over the rest of the field, with Debbie Peel running very well at this early stage to hold on to Bud and Kristiansen.
The last lap, again, a 70-second lap, so certainly maintaining this tremendous pace.
Yes, I think Kristiansen is going to have to run quite hard to even take up the pacemaking. Zola's fresh and full of running. Obviously, a season is getting better and better. And Kristiansen here is already beginning to grimace in that familiar way. And she's going to have to work quite hard to get herself in front of Zola. And Zola shows no intention of slackening the pace and waving her through. The familiar bare feet. In these conditions, probably fairly cooling. It's not too hot on the track. There's a slight blustery wind around the stadium, but shouldn't be enough to inhibit them totally. And Zola's really up and running on her toes. She looks very light and very fresh. Remember, she beat Kristiansen by a long, long way in the World Cross Country Championships, and then lost to her in the Peugeot Talbot 3000, so honours even so far this season. But Kristiansen really having to work very hard here to come up and do a share of the pacemaking as Zola lets her through.
Kristiansen explains that grimace on her face when she's running due to the fact that she says she does too much knitting. Quite how that affects her facial expression, only she can explain. And she also explains that's why her shoulder movement is rather stiff.
And again, a 70-second lap. I mean, Bud certainly has wonderful pace judgment, because both her laps when she led were just a fraction of a second under 70 seconds.
And as expected, the big two with 8 laps to go, way out on their own. Because as they round the bend into the back straight, the girl in third place, Debbie Peel, is only just crossing the finishing line with 8 laps remaining. So the lead not far short of 100 metres, and the rest of the girls in a race of their own, with Susan Tooby in fourth place and Lorraine Muller fifth. There you can see displayed the time at 2,000 metres when Kristiansen set that world record in Oslo.
Well, as you can see there, 11 seconds inside already they are. So, I mean, if they can maintain this pace, they would actually smash the record. It must, I suppose, be expected that they'll slow off a little bit. We've seen Kristiansen, certainly, in many of her big races. She's a very brave and determined runner, always goes out fast. And the question will be, can they hang on? But undoubtedly, they'll be helped by the fact there are 2 of them, making it a competitive race as well as just a record attempt.
Well, Zola Budd was seen in close conversation with Peter Labuschagne, her coach, just before the race, and although the plan was for them to take 2 laps each, there's a possibility that when they get a little bit further into this race, it will become truly a race. Peter Labuschagne, who wasn't in Moscow, unable to see Zola at the moment of one of her greatest ever triumphs, winning that European Cup. But someone who is here today, the lady in the floral dress, the blue and white floral dress, right in the centre of the picture there, is Mrs. Budd Tossey, making her first visit to Great Britain for almost 12 months. And clearly enjoying the sight of Zola out in front.
And the pace, in fact, has just dropped a little there when Kristiansen was doing most of the work. He had a 73-second lap after 3 successive 70s.
Zola's running so well, but I'm not so sure that Kristiansen isn't going to have to work extremely hard to stay with her. It's interesting that Kristiansen was having to fight to maintain that 70-71 second pace, and Zola was just urging to get away and take the pace on. They're coming into a little bit of a breeze behind them up this back straight, and again that will lift Zola and take her away. Kristiansen running better actually in second place, where she's able to relax more and just focus on Zola's very long stride. Since the season started, and we saw Zola running those first races in Ulster, Zola's stride has put on 2 or 3 inches. She's much higher in the hips, she's getting much better follow through of the legs, a much better follow through generally.
Last lap there, a 72-second lap, so Budd has just improved the pace a little bit after Kristiansen was slowing.
So yet another chance to see Fatima just back from Moscow, finishing second to Petra Felke with a first round throw. Oh, that looks a good one. White flag, good throw. She's in superb form. As I was saying, she was second last week to Petra Felke, 71 metres and 90 centimetres. Just look at this. Bags of confidence, bags of attack. She really has had a superb season. I'm not sure if that's a remember for me. Well, we'll wait for that score to come up, but there's only one girl in the world capable of beating Fatima, and 68 metres and 30 centimetres. That's an excellent opening throw for the Olympic bronze medalist.
Zola Budd has stretched her lead over the previous 200 metres, and Ingrid Kristiansen at this stage is looking as though she's finding it difficult to stay with the 19-year-old. And that's something that we do forget about Zola Budd. We compare her performances quite rightly, and she would want nothing else with the best in the world from the United States, Mary Slaney, and the massive talents of the Eastern European bloc, and indeed against the 29-year-old Kristiansen. But Zola Budd is 5 years younger than anyone else in this field. And with 4 laps to go, she looks as though she's going to win. The question is, will she break the world record?
Well, at 3,000 metres, and that's a whole lap ago, she went through at 8 minutes 50.44, a full 9 seconds inside the schedule that Kristiansen set when she got the world record in Oslo in June last year.
And a reminder of that world record time as it stands at the moment, 14 minutes 58.89. Kristiansen herself missed it by nearly 12 seconds in June in Oslo, on an occasion when she was saying she was hoping to run close to 14 3/4 minutes. But Zola Budd, who has actually run 15 minutes 1.83 seconds in Stellenbosch in South Africa in 1984, a performance that was not ratified because it took place in South Africa, looking to make sure that she sets a record today that no one can argue with.
And there's the all-time list for 5,000 metres, showing that world record by Kristiansen. Then Zola Budd's performance when she was still in South Africa, way inside, in fact, her British record of 15.13, which is set in Helsinki. Bondarenko, who we saw win the European Cup 10,000 metres, ran that time 15.05 to win the Russian Championships this year. And then Puika and Slaney, those great competitors, also 4th and 5th in the all-time standings.
Really is a race against the clock. 3:75 second laps will bring her home under 15 minutes. And she's running so purposefully, and I'm sure she'll have saved something for the last lap. She's running around 72 second pace, so she's got about 6 seconds to spare maybe. 11:52 there, so that was a 74 second lap, so she just needs to keep the pressure on.
And still 8 seconds inside the schedule that Kristiansen set in her world record.
And remember, as Zola continues to build this gap, Kristiansen behind her is the world record holder for 10,000 metres. She set that this year, and also for the marathon. She is truly one of the great distance runners in women's athletics. But the 19-year-old has a very, very big lead with 2 laps to go and has that world record in sight. Now, incidentally, you may have seen quite a lot of publicity about the Mum's Champagne Award and a prize of £50,000 for the first British athlete who breaks a world record in Britain this summer. But unfortunately, poor Zola won't be able to get her hands on that money if she does break that record, because the events that qualify have to be Olympic events. And as yet, the women's 5,000 metres is not one of them. The 3,000 metres, and next time round the 10,000 metres, but not the 5. But Zola Budd won't be thinking about pounds, shillings and pence at the moment, because as she is coming close to lapping Sue Krian, she is thinking simply of the clock.
13 minutes 4.37 at 4.4, and she's still very much there as she comes up, and you can just see the contrast in pace. She's passing now Sue Krian and leaving us standing.
It really is a wonderful display, really, of solo distance running this. It shows that women are more than capable of running the 5,000 metres. There'll be a tremendous cheer for her as she comes to take the bell. We'll just get a check on the time because it's going to be fairly crucial. 13:39, so it leaves her just under 80 seconds to break the world record, and that must be on.
So what a terrific finale to this season it's been for Zola Budd. Early in the season, she was a sad figure. She lost races that many expected her to win. She had problems mentally and physically, but she's come back with all the determination we've come to expect from a girl who's had more than her fair share of problems over the preceding 24 months. Her running has been better than ever. She's matured. She's mixed better with the British team, shared a room with Yvonne Murray in Moscow, and really enjoyed the experience. She's maturing as the months roll by, and she is fulfilling her massive promise. The girl who set world bests as a junior from 1,500 metres right up to 5,000 metres is about to set a world best as a senior. And the Crystal Palace crowd, who've always been on her side, really roar her home. 14:58.89 was the previous world record, and she's inside it by 10 seconds. Kristiansen comes in second place, and she will also be just inside the previous world